Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back or welcome to the Brighton Music Club. Again, we are an offshoot of the Brighton Film Club, which you can find on Instagram and online. Welcome back to Underrated Albums. This is episode 4, and we're taking a different tangent. Underrated comes in all sorts of different shapes and forms as well. We've discussed so far about how big artists can have underrated albums in their huge catalogue. I also kind of have hinted at smaller artists or smaller bands or just different things being underrated. Really excited about this one, so I'm going to get straight to the chase. And our underrated album number 4 is Heart of Nowhere by Noah and the Whale. Now, this is actually the catalyst for this whole series, this whole idea. As I said, it came from simple pub conversation, simple chat, spreading music, talking about stuff that we like, talking about stuff that other people may not have heard of or that we're really close to. And I think that's really what underrated does and makes you feel. It really makes you feel that the music belongs to you and that you can share it and that other people don't know about it, even though they should. That to me is what underrated feels like. And Heart of Nowhere by Noah and the Whale absolutely encapsulates all of that. It's not a band you would necessarily expect us to be talking about, and that it's not an album you'd necessarily be expected us to talk about, and that exactly is why it's underrated and exactly why it needs to be spoken about a lot more. To be quite honest, the band themselves generally are completely underrated as well, and a lot of people do not give them the credit that they deserve. It's a real shame that they're not about anymore. They broke up a long time ago now, a really horribly long time ago, and it'd be fantastic to have them back. But let's talk a little bit about them, and let's talk a little bit about what this album means to us. So everyone will know Noah and the Whale. They may well have heard the name, and they are you're most likely thinking about 5 years' time in your head straight away. That little ukulele-based sort of strum-along song from all the way back in the sort of peak era of British indie music, which was 2008. Sort of from 2006 to 2008, that's the era where we had all of this guitar band sort of coming back and making a comeback, all influenced from the early noughties, White Stripes, Kings of Leon, Strokes, and Libertines, of course. So we had the Arctic Monkeys, we had Franz Ferdinand, we had Razorlight, we had the Kaiser Chiefs, we had the Editors, we had the Pigeon Detectives, we had the Killers. I could go on and on and on and on and on. Block Party. All of these bands will ring bells. Some of them, sadly, broke up or have splintered off into solo artists and other groups. A very few of them are still going today, and of those that are still going today, even fewer are releasing sort of really credible and amazing new music. And obviously that is why the Arctic Monkeys, as an example, are held up in such high regard. Now, Noah and the Whale came out 2008. And as I said, they came up with 5 years' time, and they came up with that first record, which was called Peaceful, The World Lays Me Down, which was full of that sort of song, that sort of ditty, sweet, wouldn't hurt a fly, acoustic, ukulele bass sort of stuff. And they were kind of lumped as the British, the London version of Vampire Weekend, who actually released their first album in 2008 as well. They were kind of written off as academic, university, smart-ass type of people who released these lovely songs, but they weren't sort of talking about anything important. They were preppy, and they were going to fade away into nothing. The interesting thing about them, and by the way, we here love Vampire Weekend, they went a really different way, and they became massively critically approved and got rid of that tag. Sadly, with Noah and the Whale, they didn't really ever lose the tag, and a lot of people lumped them as that band that did that song and then disappeared. Absolutely not the case at all. They came up in that London scene which birthed Mumford & Sons and also Laura Marling. Laura Marling was actually part of Noah and the Whale's backing band. She's actually the female voice you can hear on 5 years' time. Now, she actually was in a relationship with Charlie Fink, who is the band leader of Noah and the Whale, the singer. Throughout that time, they broke up, and she later went on to be involved with Marcus Mumford from Mumford & Sons, and Charlie Fink and Noah and the Whale went away, and only a year after that first record came out with something completely different, which was called The First Days of Spring. Now, if this was a different time or place, and we weren't in a situation where people need a bit of light and a bit of something, like we said before, that you can tap your toes to, we would absolutely be talking about The First Days of Spring as an underrated album. It is a heartbreaking breakup album about Charlie Fink's separation from Laura Marling. It's absolutely beautiful music. It is absolutely fantastic as well. Incidentally, the music that Mumford & Sons, and especially the music that Laura Marling was making at the time and is still making now, is also fantastic. If anything, Mumford & Sons were the ones that really blossomed and blew out of that scene. Laura Marling is also massively underrated. She has made some of the most incredible British records in the last 10 years, and I think we are going to see her being held up as one of the most important artists of this particular time period. Moving forward, certainly, I think she will be there. Unfortunately, I don't think No and the Whale will be, because of the fact that they've broken up now, and because of the fact that they were overlooked. Anyway, let me cut back to the chase. After The First Days of Spring, which took them completely away from that sound, and as I said, was very downbeat, very, it was a breakup album, very, very sad. They went away, and a couple of years later, they came out with this really American-sounding driving rock record called Last Night on Earth. And then, 2 years following that, the album that we're talking about today, which is Heart of Nowhere, came out 2013. Now, I'd actually grouped Last Night on Earth and Heart of Nowhere together. We really like Heart of Nowhere. It didn't do quite as well, and has perhaps got less immediately known songs. Last Night on Earth had Life Goes On, the Lifegoeson song that you would have heard at that time. So it's a little bit better known. So that's why we're talking about Heart of Nowhere today, but you can certainly group the two records together. But yes, what they did was come out with this driving, American-sounding album, still with the really smart lyrics that Charlie Fink has always had in his locker, and just songs that really should be soundtracking coming-of-age movies and teenage movies. I know they weren't that age at the time, but I'm absolutely amazed that a song like There Will Come a Time is not soundtracking every single teen movie that you've ever seen. But there's some incredible songs on this, still after all these years, is on this album. The actual title track, Heart of Nowhere itself, which has got Alec Calvi on there, and All Through the Night, Lifetime, which was the only single, or one of the only singles, I think, which came out. Yes, it's massively underrated. No and the Whale are as well. Charlie Fink is, they broke the band up. It was a full 4 or 5 years later when he came up with his solo album, which was called Cover My Tracks. And part of the reason why I think that didn't do so well, and why Heart of Nowhere didn't do so well, is they were seen as that academic thing, and unlike Vampire Weekend, what they did, try and come up with things to make the albums more interesting. But I think that made people doubt them a little bit. Heart of Nowhere came with a short film of the same name. Cover My Tracks, which was the solo album, came out with a theatre production. It was a stage show, but it wasn't really. And I think those sort of gimmicky bits, the bits on top, which all they were trying to do is stretch their creative muscles. But I think it made the press a little bit sceptical, made fans a little bit sceptical, made the public a little bit sceptical, and that's possibly why the albums didn't do so well and are underrated now. Incidentally, on Cover My Tracks, have a listen to a song called Firework, which I think I'm right in saying is the first song on there. Features one of our favourite lyrics, where he says something about going to a hotel room, seeing a guitar case, asking a girl whether she played guitar, and she says, "No, that's where I keep my machine gun." That's kind of just a separate thing, but we think that's a hilarious bit of lyrical insight and shows that Charlie Fink's a really clever songwriter. But yeah, we really like No and the Whale. We really like Heart of Nowhere. We don't know why it didn't do so well. Maybe it was because of the band's name. It's a little bit corny, a little bit silly. Maybe it's because of the fact that they're not on a cover and they released this short film. But either way, what it's filled of, it's 10 concise, American-sounding, driving rock songs with these really clever lyrics. Really will make you one of those songs where you can kind of picture that teen movie scene where someone's lying in a field looking at the stars, or getting in a car to chase down the person of their dreams. that's absolutely what this album could soundtrack, and it's a brilliant thing to listen to in these times that we're in. Go and have a listen to it. Go and listen to all of Nowhere Noel generally, and yeah, we think it's underrated. Nowhere Noel's Heart of Nowhere. Thank you so much for watching once again. Please do give us your underrated album suggestions. I don't think anyone can argue that this album is definitely underrated. If you go and listen to it, you'll understand why it really encapsulates for us the whole underrated albums idea, and why we wanted to do this and why we wanted to bring this music to people. However, if you don't like it, or if you want to suggest something else, or if you like one of the other Nowhere Noel albums, let me know, talk about it, and we'll certainly pick up those suggestions as well. We're going to come back on Monday and do another one of these, and we're going to keep on going. So thanks for watching. Please do keep on watching. Go over to the Brighton Film Club on Instagram, and everyone take care of yourselves, and we'll speak to you all soon. Goodbye.